Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Stephen Rosenblatt.
I've been trying to figure out if I have this position because I'm batting cleanup or because I'm the pitcher and they have to put me at the end of the lineup. Today I want to talk to you about how I enjoy an intellectual relationship with my Judaism through Torah study. What do? I read the Parsha some weekends, not every weekend. I like to go to aish.com, and there's this little 10, 12-minute video. It's kind of cartoonish in character, but it teaches me some portion of the Parsha. But what I like the most about it, when my grandchildren are there, I don't necessarily invite them to look at it, but they see me, and because it's cartoonish, they'll come, look over my shoulder, and watch what I'm doing. Hopefully they're learning a little bit. I like to read Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. I've taken some of the JLI courses. I've studied with some of the rabbis. Where do I come from? What's causing me to do this? So let me show you a couple things. So first, this is a picture of my mother when she's 15 years old on her Nazi-issued stateless passport. The only possession she had when she came to the United States, besides the clothes on her back, was her chumash, and in her chumash, she had placed these burnt pages. These were from Kristallnacht, and she had taken it out of the fire and put it in her chumash, and she carried that with her and brought it to the United States. About 10 years before she died, she showed it to us, my brother and myself. And when she died, he and I looked at it and said, we have to do something with it. It's too important. So we went to the U.S. Holocaust Museum and we presented it as a gift along with her passport and some other things. And what we were surprised to learn that this is probably only one of 3 such artifacts that exist in the world. Okay. So I think it's that kind of background that has led me, it's one of the factors that has led me to a search into what my heritage is and to understand more about Judaism. Today I teach at the Holocaust Museum. I'm one of the docents there, so you want to hear the rest of the story, come to one of my tours and I'll tell you the rest of that story. Your connection with your heritage is what you choose to make of it. Let me tell you a story. 15 years ago, I'm driving down Wurzbach going to work, and I hadn't really started my studying yet then. These words come into my head that stop me. I pull over and I have to write them down. I just couldn't believe these words were in my head, and I had to write them down. I've never stopped to write words down before, and I haven't done it since then. These are the words. I don't believe that if I pray to God, things will change, but I believe that if I study about God, I will change. I'm going to say it again. I don't believe that if I pray to God, things will change. But if I study about God, I will change. So I want to share a couple stories from things I've learned from studying or sermons with the rabbis. So I went to a lecture many years ago which was talking about Talmud, and they used an example of a Talmudic argument. It seemed quite arcane, okay? Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva are arguing about whether the mikveh is kosher. Is it at the correct height? Because it has to be a certain height. And they measure it today, it's not the right height. It was 2 weeks ago when they measured it last. So they're arguing, does that mean that everybody we koshered since the last time we measured, since we don't know if it was still right, that they're kosher? The Rabbi Tarfon says, no, it was okay then. We just fix it now and move on. Rabbi Akiva says, no, we have to be sure. We have to go back and kosher it again. Seems somewhat like a silly argument almost, okay? Back and forth. 2 weeks later, I'm at my continuous quality improvement meeting in my dialysis unit, and at that time we used to take the dialysis kidneys and we used to clean them and sterilize them, and we had to put solutions in of a certain concentration. So the nurses presented a problem. They said, we took a batch out, we used to do them in batches, 15 at a time, and they would measure at the end of the incubation period, they would measure to be sure they were sterile and correctly done, And they said, well, we took the sample out, and the sample was 2/100ths below the limit. And I went, oh my God, this is a 2,000-year-old argument. Is the mikveh kosher or not? Okay? And to them, they said, well, does that mean we have to check all the other kidneys? I said, yes. And so I was struck with the connection there. Then, one other story. My rabbi is talking one day about charity, how everybody is able to provide charity, even the poorest person, even a person who receives charity himself can give something of himself to somebody else. I like that. It's a nice concept. A couple weeks later, I'm visiting my grandchildren. They're 4 and 6 years old at that time, 2 boys, and they're running out to the car to get in the car, and there are 2 car seats. They have the usual positions. The 4-year-old jumps into the 6-year-old's usual car seat. So what does the 6-year-old do? He runs out. He says, oh, that's fine. Get out of the way. I said, whoa, Jacob, there's something you can do that nobody else in the world can do right now. You can give a present to your brother that nobody else can do. You can let him sit there. He looked at me. He walked around the other side of the car and got in the other seat. So what I find that writings from 2,000 years ago, I'm able to connect with them. They're relevant to my life right now. I was surprised that when I studied the Pirkei Avot, I've done it with a couple rabbis. I've never gotten through the whole thing, but done a lot of it. It's the wisdom of the sages. Never once did it require me to say, I'm doing this because I'm told to do this, because God told me to do that. You do it because you understand that it's the right thing to do. It's a godly thing to do. For me, the realization that the study of Torah is not just giving me rules about what to eat and what to do, but as a guide to how to conduct myself in the world. Study of Torah allows me to act more righteously and to begin to understand godliness. I like the idea that by following what I learn, I might be providing an example, a guide to those around me, a light to the world. Now, maybe that's a little grandiose, but what if we all did it? Thank you.